the relationships are way more important than the cards. Just like in the gold and silver space, right? The relationships you're building with the people and the other stackers and stuff is more important than what you're collecting. You know, do you have silver? Do you have gold? Do you have whatever? Do you have American Silver Eagles? It doesn't matter. Like, it's you're meeting like-minded people who share the same values as you. Everybody, Dragoon here, and I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of a startup here for what this video is about. This video is a podcast, kind of a continuation of a prior podcast series that a friend and I have done concerning primarily the trading card industry, and particularly one company and their business, where Legend Story Studios, and they created a game called Flesh and Blood, which is a trading card game that he and I used to be very heavily involved with in the investment side, buying sealed product, buying single products, being involved with content creation, the social scenes, being involved with different leadership throughout the company, going to dinners with them, things like that. So this is sort of the culmination of things that we saw from the past leading to what we believe is going to be ultimately the demise of this business in the future. Maybe they can save it, maybe they won't, I don't know, but there was definitely a permeation of culture change in the business. Some point to kind of like DEI woke stuff, and the way that the social pressures were put on the business sort of seems to have formed a new direction for them, which is pretty much failing across the board if you look at, you know, a lot of the metrics. So anyway, if you want to enjoy this, it's not as much about investment and finance per se with silver and gold. This is more of kind of like more business talk and just understanding like ways that this business has kind of like made mistakes over time. And we do get into some different things about different types of net worth and such. So I hope you enjoy it. Leave comments. Let me know what you think. Again, if you don't have the context of the first two videos of the podcast, it might seem a little weird. But anyway, this is just at the end of the day, two pals kicking back, just catching up after about a year and a half of not really having these podcasts, and just getting together, talking, and seeing what each other are up to. So thanks for watching. Take care.
The Silver Dragoon, I guess, because like one day on YouTube, the channel changed, and what happened? Like, did you take another hobby?
Yeah,
or is it I mean,
I did just click record, by the way, but yeah. So basically, you know, I think 2025, beginning of 2025, it got to the point where it just wasn't enjoyable even following the game. There was all the things that we had brought up about the issues going on with Flesh and Blood and the community, and especially like the social side of it was just such a cesspool, man.
Yep.
And yeah, I just kind of like made it where it's like I've got so many other better things that I could be doing with my life. So I just like took a pivot, and I was like, you know what, why don't I talk about something that I'm like really passionate about, which is like finance and money, and you know, which is kind of what Flesh and Blood was originally, right? It was like an alternative investment, collectible, and a game at the same time.
It was until the management of that company just, you know, they took a hard pivot.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that, because that's one of my key points for why the game just isn't what it used to be. But was buying, I think you and I shared some text a long time ago when I was talking about silver and gold. You're like, you know, stay away from the silver. It's too bulky, too much pain in the butt. Stick with gold, right? Well, I ended up buying both.
I understand that you have a channel about it. I don't hate silver. I don't want to get vilified by your main audience. I personally do not hate silver. I've been following it and tracking it, and I've bought like the silver ETFs in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't dislike physical silver, but the problem is it's too heavy.
Yeah.
And it takes up a lot of space. And if silver's spiking and you've got 100 kilos of silver, it's not like I'm not going to be Santa Claus and, you know, taking my sack and taking it over to the Diamond District. And again, not to boast, I don't know, you know, where your viewers lean, but like at a certain level of net worth, it stops making sense.
Yeah.
When you're building to that 5, 6, 7 figure range, it's great to have it in your portfolio. But yeah, that's
hey, there were some billionaires that that went heavy into silver, and they were picking up what are called monster boxes of American Silver Eagles and stuff, and those are 500 1-ounce rounds in a box, and they had whole warehouses full of this stuff. Just so you know, like my goal is with precious metals to get to a 10% total asset allocation, and that's it. and I'm not even at 5% yet. So I still have a way to go. And silver makes up roughly, I don't know, 50, 60% of that precious metals part of that allocation.
Okay.
I've been shifting into gold
Mm,
a lot, especially with the price of silver going from $30 an ounce and $25 an ounce when I was buying it to 120 and down to 80 again. It just made sense to kind of pivot at that point, let the silver run, and then start refocusing in on gold. So,
yeah.
whatever.
No,
I appreciate it.
no, it's not whatever at all. I literally had a board meeting where I called my CFO and others, and I was like, guys, gold was 1,400 an ounce at the time.
Yeah.
And, because of how much more valuable it is by weight, I was like, guys, we can, start with our company safe, then get safe deposit boxes or just get gold storage. And we just go ham on gold. It was $1,400 an ounce at the time,
Hmm.
like 2.5 years ago. Does that track? That's
Yeah,
about
it
right,
was
right?
about 3 years ago, probably at this point.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So two and a half, something like that. So it was under 2,000 an ounce.
Yeah.
I just have to assume that it's at 4,500 or 5,000 still somewhere in
Yeah. I
that
mean,
range.
it's found a really good channel from like 4,500 to 4,800 right now. So,
Okay, great, great. So yeah, and it even broke 5,000 at one point,
oh yeah,
right?
it got up to above 5,500, I think. So yeah, it did
Yeah,
really
and
well. It did really
I
well the
said,
last 2 years.
I
Yeah.
said, guys, let's even take some out of our fund, take some out of our trading desk. I proposed 2 million in gold. That would have been very fortuitous. My office relocation, my headquarters expansion would have paid for
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, that did not happen. And speaking of, like, you haven't been around here in at least 9 months or something.
So
No, it's
that's
been even
on me.
longer.
That is on me. There was one weekend that I was up there in your neck of the woods, and I can't remember what it was, but we just got to the point where there was like event, and then dinner, and I was just like, it's too late to try to get down to New York. So, hey,
Okay.
why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? We've got like 5 minutes in already. Why don't we
Yeah.
reset and say, hi. I
Oh
am
yeah,
Riddle,
sorry.
or AKA Silver Dragoon, formerly Riddler Man Gaming, with TCG Collectible Space as like an
Yeah.
alternative investment market watch channel. And who is my guest here?
Just a nobody Asian who's balding with glasses.
Hey, we all are, man.
I,
I'll get
I
there too.
formerly had a TCG channel as well, but some people say that I got canceled by the community. I actually would like to think, and I think in hindsight, um, it was obvious that I made my plea for help, my final plea, and this is the final cry, and I was like, this is the hill I die on. Either the management understands how serious of an issue it is, or it's a lost cause. So I'd like to think that I saw my own exit out
Yeah.
of that community. And it was like, hey guys, this is it. You got to pick. Either go with the side of capital, intelligence and strategy, or go full woke and start, woke scolding your player base and telling everybody how crazy stuff is. And as evidenced, not even bullshitting. Prior to the Yokohama event, I think some city in Japan, Yokohama, I think it was either a Grand Prix or shit, they don't call it that. Pro
Pro
Tour.
Tour, yeah.
There's a Pro Tour Yokohama, right? It was in Japan again. Yeah. They showed me an LSS employee showed me the merchandise, showed me the clothing, and the colors were like baby blue, white, and pink. And I'm like, that's kind of like not very. Why are you showing this stuff? He's like, don't you think that resembles a certain color? And I'm like, no. He's like, dude, these are trans colors. And I'm just like, oh, great. I didn't even see the
I
correlation.
was
They're just,
assuming more like cherry blossoms, Japanese. Like, there's a
well,
lot of things that I've seen that are like those colorations
okay, but
representing cherry blossoms, right? Yeah.
I'm just saying their flag was those three colors.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, the trans flag is those three colors, and literally, there's men's clothes in like pastel pink and
Yeah.
baby blue, and I'm just like, now that you mention it, there's a little bit of signaling going on there because that was their merch. There was no black or gray. There was white because you have to have white, right? But when the LSS, worker texted me, I was just like, okay, I was apathetic to it before, but I remain apathetic now. So
It's just, it's crazy. And I think that, obviously the game is still functioning, the business is still running, and there's still money being made. I get that. So it's not like it's, doom and gloom for the game yet. But there are
yeah,
very obvious metrics that kind of peaked in like 2024. And that's my assumption is what happened, because that's what
oh,
I
okay,
saw as a
yeah,
consumer on the
yeah,
outside looking in, because policies no longer had any weight. Verbal interviews no longer had any weight.
yeah.
Discussions, we had crash outs from Brian, from certain heads of the people on X arguing with their fan base about things that they said, and now they're going and retracting. I mean, there was just this the continual snowball.
Mhm.
I mean, and I think we were probably the first to kind of like start to identify it and openly discuss the option or the opportunities that we were seeing. Like, hey, this is a problem. This is a problem. Even remember one of our old guests, James Curry.
Yeah,
I
Badger.
mean, Badger was one of the first ones that really started seeing the writing on the wall back with the cold foil Art of War. And I'll be honest,
Art of
I
War.
should have
Yep.
listened to him more back then. And I glazed a little bit. I saw the bright side of things, even though, like, at the end of the day, he was right. The collectability was no longer a focus for the company, and or at least that's what it looked like, right? And
Not only was it not a
yeah,
focus, they just simply uh hung us out to dry and just betrayed the initial sentiment of, not printing better versions of certain cards. And I mean, I was in New Zealand, I think, for either the tour of LSS or the celebrational.
hmm
I think it was actually the LSS tour. And I was told, by James himself, he's like, "Oh, this is right after Bright Lights was tanking and doing
yeah.
poorly." He's like, "Oh, we made a mistake. We probably should never print the Findal Spring Tunic again." And look what happened a couple months back. I mean, I don't own a single card from that, penetration set, right?
I don't
Because
either. Yeah,
yeah, every player, every collector, every stakeholder of Legend Story Studios' product basically got, shafted, and they took it up from behind when Penn, right, just
yeah.
destroyed the values of their collectible
I can tell
card.
you a story about that because I was at Worlds in Philadelphia when they announced the Pen, trailer or whatever it was. Like the
Yeah.
very first premiere of
Mhm.
Compendium of Wraith set,
Mhm.
and they can tell you all they want that the crowd was excited. The only one excited was one of the loser content creators getting stipends from the company, right? That were
Yep.
paid to be there, basically. Everybody else was like, they were legit. It was just silence, dead air, people walking around that I had no affiliation with, griping about how they had just bought an Eye of Ophidia for their deck, and like they're upset that
Yep.
it's like now there's one being printed. Vendors like legitimately were like, I don't even really want to buy this crap anymore because it's going to be tanking like in a month when this set comes out. Like there was not much enthusiasm. The whole World's event was an absolute disaster, to the point where even the owner of the game couldn't even be bothered to go in flesh and blood and be there for the biggest premiere event. No flag ceremony. Artists were pushed outside of the event hall. There was no decorations at all other than the Prism statue up. Like it looked like a warehouse where people just playing cards. It was so bad. That was like, that was right there when I decided, you know what? It is time, really, really time for a hard abort exit,
Wait.
change
When
direction
when
of
was
everything.
Worlds? I haven't. I've been out since. I literally have done nothing with the game,
Yeah.
even before our last recording. Our last recording, you know, I think we did a follow up after, number 47 became president,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yep.
That was like what,
Still
January, maybe?
2025. That it
Yeah,
was a year and a half ago. That's why we
yeah.
gotta
Dude,
we
that's been a long
we
time.
can't only meet like this, man. Like,
But
considering we're on the
things have been
state.
amazing. I don't know about you. I'm sure you're doing wonderful. You opened that new branch, everything like things been. I couldn't ask for better situations for everything: life, business, work, health. Like,
Yeah.
it's been great. And it maybe being so deep in the trading card sphere was not where I needed to be as a person, you know?
I agree with you. The average player, when I had started following Flesh and Blood, the average collector and enthusiast of the game was a certain archetype, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and there were less and less people that I wanted to even associate with. And speaking of associating with people, remember when the Fabled Runaways dropped me
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
a
remember
year
they
ago? They're like,
grandstanded.
yeah, they're like, oh, and they even virtue signaled. We like, oh,
Oh, dude.
oh, we don't need him. We're off. We'll be fine without him. We took our stand, drew our line in the sand. Our ethics don't jive with his. It's like, great, great. Please virtue signal. Um, Considering, I was solely funding the majority of the players on that team, and I had a hard commit to buy everybody's,
I was gonna
items.
say
And
they love the support
yes,
financially,
yes,
but they didn't want to rock their social credit score.
yeah, yeah, they didn't want to screw up their their little social credit rating. It's funny that I don't know if I mentioned this in the past, but I remember right before COVID that Americans were making fun of the communist Chinese for having a social credit score.
True.
And here we are. It's like how many Insta likes and how many followers do you have? And
Oh yeah,
here
we're
you are. Oh, it's like plus minus. Oh, how many check marks and hearts and whatever you're getting. Does that actually make you a better person? I don't think so. Does
You know what's
people not?
interesting though about
Yeah.
that though is there actually is leverage and weight to that, which is so crazy. I don't know what businesses think when they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna support this influencer and advertise with them and give them money because they have X number of views and X number of subscribers." Like it's all a game. Like these people can literally just go buy views and they can buy subs and they can buy attention, and then they take it out as a business expense, and then some business sponsors them as if they're like some big deal. It's like nobody's buying your product.
Yeah.
Like your advertising dollars are not getting to anybody who actually is going to consume your product. Like,
And I
what
think
are
we
you
talked
doing?
about it. I think in past years we talked about Dylan Mulvaney, right?
Yeah, maybe a long time ago.
And
Yeah,
that crazy Bud Light crash out. And even today, there are people like if you have the wrong influencer, people will proactively not buy your
well,
product.
that was just a blatant like misunderstanding of your target market.
Well, they did it with Target, they did it with Jaguar, they did it with so
Well,
many things. North
that's
Face.
what a certain trading card game company, a couple of them, are doing as well. Is
Yeah.
they're kind of like 5 years behind the curve, to be honest. But they're still trying to do that same thing. Is like they're trying to appeal to what they believe is the socially, like, I guess, majority. But the reality of life is that these are just a very, very, very vocal minority that make up a majority of the noise, and therefore it seems like it's a bigger, a bigger thing than it is. And
Yeah.
it's just because it's being propelled with money and attention intentionally, because then it's an avenue to dump more money into and have it circle back to you. It's like
Absolutely. And how, politicians were on that bandwagon.
everybody.
Hollywood is still on that bandwagon, and they're just wrong. They're just wrong. It's like, we don't care about your feelings. People these days care about money. Care about putting gas in their cars. Care about paying the bills. They certainly didn't care about, what's her name? Billie Eilish, right? You remember when it was like, oh, don't, how can you be on stolen land? And it turns out
Oh
that
yeah.
her $14 million house was on stolen land. And it's like, oh, okay, well, why don't
Give
you
up
give
give
up
up
your
your
land?
house.
Right? Yeah, give up your house.
or
Let everybody
or
live in it.
STF up. you know.
Yeah, give up your house and let everybody live in it. Or yeah, shut the
Well,
fuck
where
up.
would you,
Exactly.
taking it back to more of the finance stuff,
Sure,
where
sure.
would you, right? Precious metals. I've learned in the stacking community, precious metal community, there are a lot of very different opinions about, you know, how much you should stack, what kind of things you should stack. And you're saying that it's kind of more of a, once you get kind of to that millionaire mark, it kind of becomes a little bit of like dead weight, and there's other vehicles that you can put your money into. What are some alternative invest? Let's assume people already have their stock market stuff and they've already got real estate. Like, what are some alternative investments that you would consider as like a high net worth individual, like where you could look?
Well, private placements, if you qualify,
Okay.
right? If you level up your banking relationship, you can get involved in private stock that investments banks are selling to one another.
Okay.
That's one. For example, I think there are REITs and they're physical real estate projects where you can literally get into a real estate investment and they come in blocks of, I think, as low as 50 million,
Okay.
meaning like you go in with a $50 million
Oh,
project and you invest even 250 of that,
gotcha.
right?
Okay.
250,000 of the 50 million.
Okay.
And then it's a $50 million project. They build some building, some hotel, some shopping center, whatever the case it is, and you get your piece of that,
Okay.
right? Those exist. Um, Even if you play with individual stocks, even if you have your own index funds, I would say wealth management is a way, wealth management in general. I would say that alternative, I don't want to call it investments, but alternative assets like collectibles right now still.
Yeah.
Although I currently don't actively view my former Flesh and Blood cards, of which I still hold like 99.9% of them from same ones as 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I I view other card games. Like, for example, I picked up in the past a couple of One Piece. I think a prize card and a couple of other flashy cards. Those are doing pretty well. Magic the Gathering is actually on an uptick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on an uptick in terms of volume, not as much price. There's been about 20 to 30% rebound in price in Magic, but even now, there's a huge collect. So right now, there's a huge auction going on. Private collection of very old cards is going on the market, millions of dollars of cards,
Wow.
and I'm going to be bidding on some of them. Like I'm not even active in the TCG community, but I saw the prices of the bids, and I think we're at a certain point where you know, cash is a little scarce in the market economically.
Yeah.
The Iran conflict is going on. I just came back from you know a trip to LA. Gas was up to $8 a gallon,
Yeah.
so pretty crazy. That
Yeah. We're at
said,
5 here on the East Coast. So
okay, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know what it is on the East Coast. I drove around in Uber all the time
Yeah.
in LA. In Manhattan, I don't have any gas stations here, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't think gas stations can afford to be on this island, right? So yeah, but because of that, these auction prices, because like the auction prices, you're literally saying, hey, here's the mark to market on a Black Lotus right now. What is it worth right now? Versus if somebody were to buy that Black Lotus and just wait for this, little squeeze to go by, they
Hmm.
probably make 40% on it. And let's say it's like a $3 million collection. I've got my eye on a good amount, a double digit percentage point position of that
Yeah.
collection, which I'd like to acquire through, I've got affiliates, I've got people bidding for me, right? And I'm going to hold on to it through my affiliate. They're going to list it. And I believe like once the market rebounds, 90 days, maybe 6 months, you're going to have 30 to 40% back.
Wow.
Sorry, I stayed on Magic for so long, but I wanted to bring that up because it's like night and day. Magic the Gathering finally recovered from Magic 30, which I believe was like 2022 or 2023, right?
Yeah.
Now, 3 years later, it got about a third of its value back, which is great. Like, I
Okay.
think it's great. It's still 67% losses, even 70% losses from whatever it kind of peaked at, but it came back. But Fab is in a place where it's like it's a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. It's like, you know what? Let me cut my own, let me just cut my own neck off because I don't need it anymore. I don't need a capital stream. I don't need to appeal to people that have money. I don't need to appeal to people that have reason. I just want to appeal to the woke outrage people, and maybe
Yeah.
it'll figure itself out.
Yeah,
But
it's an interesting story there, and I think it's perfectly fine to go on about Magic the Gathering, because the whole idea here is to understand that there's other places where there are opportunities to sort of, like you said, I don't know if it's an investment or if it's a speculative, asset or whatever you want to classify these things as, but there are other markets. There's graded comic books, graded video games. There's just vintage antique furniture, artwork.
I even think graded. I think
things.
comic books is decent, and it's coming back. It was down for a
It seems
while
to have
because
stabilized though.
it had
Like,
it had its own fraud issues,
yeah,
right? The rebacked, and I think either PSA or one of the big companies. I don't want to
I
say
think it's
PSA.
CGC that does a lot of the
Oh,
comic
CGC
book
does a lot of the
grading.
comic books, but I think PSA has had a subsidiary. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Don't quote me on this, but there was like a reback or insiders like took really high graded comics out of their holders and
Oh,
resealed them with less valuable comics
oh, that
because,
sucks.
like, imagine you have like Superman, whatever, Superman 1, and it's like a $10 million comic book in 9.5 or
Yeah,
9.8. And then you put in like an 8.5 or a
yeah,
9.0 in there,
that's tough.
that's like a tenth of the price or whatever it is. So it was pretty crazy. Things like that happened. You might be right. It might be CGC. I keep thinking it was a PSA subsidiary,
Yeah, I'm
but
I'm not sure
who
about
knows? Yeah,
that
yeah.
story, so I'd have to look it up. Yeah.
However, that was years back, and I'm hearing that it's recovered. Graded video games, I have not heard anything about a recovery. I do remember there was a lot of also suspected fraud and malfeasance in that
Yeah, I think there were some
area.
issues with like grading companies and auction houses like working together
Yeah,
again, and
yeah.
nothing's fact. I just the hearsay of what I've
Yeah,
seen on the
the,
internet.
the same common ownership. But even I think in fine artwork they have those problems. But since you mentioned Flesh and Blood and the difference in the market, I want to tell you, I literally 90 days ago, I had two friends. Well, one friend from Singapore. He's one of the largest dealers in Asia Pacific, and he
I probably
has,
met him
yeah, you've probably met him,
at the
as
dinners and
well
stuff. Yeah.
as another. He brought a friend from Austria who they were both formerly some of the largest stores, sellers. They would post up and pay for convention space at nearly every single Flesh and Blood show.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're not going to the conventions anymore. Not only that, we
Wow.
have inventory. We're not going to buy more inventory. We actually pivoted to Pokemon. They both pivoted to Pokemon,
Wow.
and they both actually also carry One Piece. And I'm like, why Pokemon? And I mean, you don't have to, nobody has to sell me on Pokemon. Like, Pokemon has its own market, up
Yeah.
and down. It's still a lot more resilient and a lot deeper and a lot more established than Flesh and Blood.
Oh yeah. I
Hey,
mean, by tens of millions
yeah,
plus. Yeah.
times to probably tens of
Yeah.
a factor of 10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, they even told me, they're like, oh, we just got into One Piece as well because after, people noticed that every store had PSA 10s of all the cards, that all the fancy cards that were released, all the versions of Charizard and Mewtwo or whatever that was released in the last 5 years. We needed diversification, and we
Mm-hmm.
weren't going to make it off of Flesh and Blood. And at the same time, Magic is so capital intense. That's why they went into One Piece. So,
Okay.
at least from the dealer perspective, internationally, that was a big reason for the surge.
You want
Because
to know a
Rudy,
secret?
huh?
Want to know a secret?
Yeah.
I actually started a business with a partner, and we're dealing in One Piece as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a
Great.
great market. It's natural scarcity from the sealed. You get great prices from distro. It's
Good,
always
good art.
selling online
Good art.
easily. The
Voluptuous
singles are
women
great.
that's appealing to men,
It's
right?
beautiful cards, and it's also pop culture. You've got the new
Yeah.
series coming out, keeping it going, keeping it fluent.
Yeah.
It's the anime, like it just makes sense. There's stories like Flesh and Blood is celebrating. Oh, we got 500 players to show up at this event, and then like you've got things like Lorcana, brand new sorcery. Even the last event that I was at, not Worlds, but a different event where it was just like, I think it was just like a calling or battle hardened.
Mhm.
It was the same ridiculous traveling circus of freaks and their friends That was it. It was like 15, 20 people at the Battle Hardened for Flesh and Blood. The
Yep.
Sorcery, like, Learn to Play had like 80 people in their tournament. I don't think people understand how small Flesh and Blood actually really is, because they hear all these stories that are like gaslighting you. Think player is growing, player growth is growing, and stores are growing. Yeah. What happens if you remove all the people who don't have any gym score for the last 6 months or the last year? How many is your player base still growing, or is it dying? Because I'm hearing from people on the ground that attendance is dying and like people aren't showing up. Look at social media. Like, nobody's even covering the game anymore. And the ones that do, their viewership is like 10x to 100x lower than anything else they cover. Like, it's just, these are just the facts. Like, so I don't know how they're construing their data to try to convince their current player base to stick and stay on board, I guess, maybe. But I feel like if you were to really dig into it and get some information, I don't think their story that's being led on is the actual real story right now.
Well, I heard from some players, they were like, oh, the fact that you have to post so much noise about Companion of Wraith and how well it's selling
Yeah.
kind of signals weakness.
Just go on TCG Player and look at the sales.
Yeah, look at the flow through, and I'm hearing that it's very, very thin right now in general. And I mean, why not? Why wouldn't it be? Because didn't they first they canceled PvE, right?
Oh, no, PvE was never a product, Saint. Didn't James said that himself? We're all misconstrued. They never officially said that they were ever going to do anything with PvE.
But I've had him on a recording saying that.
I'm just telling you what James White himself said. There was never an official announcement about PvE. That's the way they spun it.
Maybe it was not an official write-up, but he said it as the CEO of the company, and that video is still up.
I guess that means nothing. So anything that anybody ever says from the company on a video or in an interview or a podcast means literally nothing ever again.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's how I would take that.
I can see how it can be construed that way, yeah.
It's just so many. Again, I know we're beating the heck out of a dead horse here, but this is an example of how a business has like almost everything it needs, and it's churning so well, and it's going in the right direction so well, and just a few bad choices can absolutely just derail the whole thing.
Well, this is great because I said it in front of Rudy, and Rudy was like, out of respect for James, and because I guess Flesh and Blood sales, I guess I'm assuming that he delayed the video, then he said that he didn't want to do the circle video, which was actually a line, which is another story, because the 4 horsemen are now 3 amigos, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we lost somebody?
Yeah, we lost one of the horsemen.
Oh no.
In the 70s show videos.
I hope it was amicable.
Huh?
I hope it was an amicable leaving.
I don't know that it wasn't amicable about me. I was amicable about everything the whole time, but
okay.
One of them like stomped out and they took their ball and went home.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think if you think really hard, you'll know which one was the oddball. It wasn't me.
I got it.
So, yeah, but okay, how did we even get there about the 3 amigos? Because about Flesh and Blood. We're talking about Flesh and Blood.
The direction of the game, the company.
And I said it then. I mean, I had told James in front of his daughter and his wife, and in front of one of his largest partners, the largest distributor in Asia Pacific, holding Flesh and Blood. I said that right now on your board, there's an individual that is creating an existential crisis to your game. And I told him who it was. I said it was Chris Pierce. And I said that the guy is transactional. He's making bad decisions. He's going to tank the game. And that was the same individual that I told you in the past brought upon Brian Gottlieb. And I think his name was Cedric Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Who cares? Cedric. Yeah.
Yeah.
The entertainer.
And, basically people with MTG tenure, back from the MTG game. And I'm just like, this guy's just going to send everybody in the wrong direction. And from what I heard, it was a year too late, but he was exited from the board of the company towards the end of 2024, but the
damage has already been done. I mean, that's the problem. The damage was done. You ostracized all the people.
Not before suggesting multiple times in Japan And even in, I think one of the pro tours or one of the pro tours in Europe that I'm toxic to the game and should be exited from the game because you went around telling stores, it's like you're a board member, you're the COO of the company. Why would you need to lower yourself and shit talk a content creator, somebody that,
Yeah.
was actually a bannerman and a heavy supporter of the game?
Yeah, you were.
It's
Yeah. And I
it's
was
like,
too for a while there.
yeah, absolutely. But then, you take out allies, friendly fire. I'm here trying to look out for you. And then instead, it's like, okay, this guy's got to go, like my executive says. But then the executive ended up needing to get removed, but the damage was already done. He already, brought the company full woke. And here we are. It's like you're embracing full woke culture and you know, are they still doing pronouns on their cards?
I'll be honest with you. I think that they
You don't even know.
I think they made a they them character or something recently. I'll be honest. I don't really care enough anymore to even give it too much attention.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I
I
still
don't
have
know.
my
That's what I
Discord
heard.
channel, and so it still gets discussed a little bit in Discord. So I pick up what people are talking about. But I mean, it is, dude. Saint in 2025, we in our Discord we try to calculate like roughly how much money we knew exited from annual sales just from the people that I knew was exiting the game,
Yeah.
and we got somewhere in like the 750,000 plus range that we knew ourselves. All of us that were just talking were like, I'm not buying anymore. I'm not buying anymore. You buy anymore? Nope. And I know this guy's not buying anymore. I know this guy's not buying anymore. And like, I'm sure they picked up sales at other places, but still, like, the point is like, when you're only a $30 million company, or whatever, 40 million revenue company, about a million of sales just walking away in the same year just because of bad decisions and bad publicity that you've done is and that's just people I knew.
Did
You
they
know,
really make 30 or 40 million though?
Well,
Is
that's
that
what it was back then. Because they did that New Zealand, business interview and stuff, and that they were talking about. I think it was like
okay?
45, 50 million at the top end, but obviously that's,
Of NZ. That's NZ though. So
yeah,
that's
I think so.
about
I think it
30
was NZ.
million
That's what I was
US.
assuming. That's why I was kind of
Probably
like
on their,
mathing it out like
yeah,
that. But
probably on their best year, maybe. Okay. Because first off, their boxes start at something like $60 a box or
yeah,
whatever it
from
is. They have to
distro,
mark
yeah.
it up to distro, and then there's logistics as well, sending it to distro. And that comes with a good amount of costs too. So top line. I mean, you know what? He's apparently not hurting for money enough. Him and his team are not hurting for money enough. So still good for them. If they want to continue down that path, that's their call.
Yeah.
So
So I'm
yep. What other topics I mean, how else is your channel going? Because I'd
uh
love to catch up about everything else as well.
channel's doing fantastic. I've put my foot off the gas for content simply because during basically March through May, I'm a full-time volunteer coach at the high school for the lacrosse team. So I go out there. That's 6 days a week, in the evenings after work.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's a loaded schedule. So I'm just too tired to even want to talk
Do
about
you
anything
have
in the
kids
nights.
do you have kids in the sport or anything like that?
No,
Is
no,
that
I have a daughter, but she's not in high school. So
okay?
how it worked out, the backstory is my neighbor played on the team,
Mhm.
and I saw him outside practicing one day, and I was like, hey, I played the sport in college. And then he ran it, he was talking to the head coach, and the head coach was saying that they were looking for support for coaching the team. So that's how I got involved. So, and
Really?
it's been awesome seeing these guys growing up and getting better and performing, and just it's like I seem to always fall into something to give back my time to like the community. I was a
That's great.
volunteer at the fire department for 4 years, and then like I stopped that for a year, like right around at the end of COVID, and then I shifted into like the lacrosse coaching and stuff. So
That's great.
yeah, just something to do beyond yourself, I think, is important for everybody.
Well, don't start like saying all that provocative stuff because I think 60% of this country still thinks there's nobody's important outside of yourself, right? Because that's what social media is telling you. And then with AI these days, your AI is basically your personal like kiss your butt bot that's
Yeah,
also
yeah,
in your phone
yeah.
because it's got to tell you right about everything.
Trust me, AI is, if anybody is interested in AI, we could talk for hours on that, but AI is advancing at a rate that like I think normal people truly don't
They don't get
understand.
it.
you could legitimately within a weekend create a business, create a software product, get it published out there, and start generating income
Making
with
money.
one person.
Yeah, right away.
Like, it's unbelievable amount of opportunity out there if you have ideas and you just want to turn them out.
Yes, if you're willing to hustle. But
Yeah, you got to work, but
the flip side of AI, though, what I'm seeing for those people who were the former middle class and below, they're relying on AI so much that they're forgetting to learn, and they're listening to their AI, and and I'm seeing a regression, even, across multiple companies that I oversee. I'm seeing a regression, and even a regression in our software developers, our coders. They're like, we're listening to, I think, Claude Code basically is what they're using most of the time, the Anthropic product, Claude, right? And Claude is coding it, and then sometimes they don't even check the code and they're asleep at the wheel. And I've got other checkpoints, but it's like,
I could go on and on about those technical issues and it's not just that, but here's how I relate to it though, Saint. I look at it like this. Okay, when we were growing up, let's say 40 years ago, you had to learn by either being taught by somebody knowledgeable, going to a library, reading book, or looking at film, looking through the microscope at old newspapers, right? You had to research things tangibly. Well, then obviously the internet comes along, and what happens is at first you don't trust the internet, right? You're like, I don't trust this. How do I know this is factual? How do I know this isn't BS, whatever? But over time, you use it enough, you get acclimated to it, you start to trust it. Then you look at Google, right? Google has a search engine where it provides responses and answers to your questions and things. Well, like Ask Jeeves, remember all that stuff? Well,
Ask Jeeves, oh my God. You're taking back to like 93 or something like that.
I'm going through history here. Work with me. So, right, but the point is that, like, okay, you go from not trusting it to trusting it over time of use and having reinforcement that it's providing you accurate answers, or at least answers that nobody can discredit or deny because they don't know either, right? So but then nobody really realizes that Google is now a paid advertiser for the response. So it's just giving you the response of the person who pays them the most money.
Whatever's optimized, for the listing and the escalation.
Think about the ramifications of the fact that people now believe everything that they're told when they Google something that is paid by the highest sponsor to be promoted as the answer. Okay?
Yeah.
That's very problematic. You want to talk about, like, propaganda is probably the easiest thing like our government can do right now, because
all of media. That's all of media right now.
That's what I'm getting at. So now it's all social media. Now, not only that, but now a lot of people are watching and listening to these AI accounts that are legitimately, what they do is they go and they look at the internet, they scrape the internet for trending topics, and how the audience is engaging with it. They formulate an entire script, video, message, whatever, post, and then they upload it themselves. This is all being done inside a central agentic network. And then people watch and consume this stuff and take it for face value and fact.
And that becomes their education and research.
Exactly. So that's what I'm getting. So we're in a weird space. And you could obviously leverage this as an opportunistic person, but we're in a weird space with what the education system's gonna become. I'm gonna be quite frank with you. Like, I don't want to speak for your business, but businesses don't need project managers. You don't really need quality assurance anymore, like, because you can build agents to handle these operations. I don't need somebody to compose emails or to get me reports or to now. You don't need it anymore. But there's a humanitarian side of it, of going, can you run a business without all these people? Yeah, you probably could.
Nowadays you could.
Is it the right thing to do? Probably not, unless your business is struggling, right? And then in which case you're going to make that hard decision because you have to. So we're just in a weird spot. I think there's a ton of opportunity with AI, but I think AI is all AI is. People hear the word AI, and I think that they think it's like it's not intelligence. It's the transferring and like understanding and compiling of data faster and faster and faster and faster over time as these chips keep getting more improved, right? We're going to start to have, I don't know how deep we want to go into technology, but they're now developing chips, because how it works right now is, right, you have like a memory chip and you have like a processor chip, and they have to communicate back and forth. and that's the delay. That's the energy sink. That's the most of your energy cost. That's your delay and processing and compute power. So I need, I need all this memory and I need all these compute chips and I need to build this giant data center that has all this stuff. Well, they're creating new chips now that they're called in-memory chips. They do something like 10,000 less energy use. All the compute and memory is on the same chip, so it's like lightning fast. Once they perfect this chip, it's over. It's over. And this chip already exists. But once it's like mass produced and working, like a day, they could just refactor. And I did an entire video on this on my channel somewhere. I don't know what it's called, but I talked about this in detail.
This type of technology, and the technology coefficient advancing.
It already exists, and it's also reverse compatible with the current data center layouts, so that data centers can then adopt these chips and basically rebuild their entire structure. So imagine you have like 5,000 square feet of data center or something. And it's got all these like what would now be considered slow processors and memory working back and forth. You could literally like 10,000 times X your compute by switching to these chips. So it's going to be the exponential growth of AI is going to be insane soon.
I would believe 5x faster. No, 10,000 times faster. That's hard to believe, man.
Well, think about the space it takes up in comparison, right, to everything else, and it's doing all of the compute and memory instantaneously on its own chip rather than having to process it back. So how it used to work is like, okay, processors like, I need data, get data.
Yeah, no.
Compute data, send it back,
I understand.
You don't have to do any of that.
All the lines and all that and everything back and forth and the stacks on racks.
It's all right there on the same chip. It's going to be insane. It's going to. The guy, I went over an entire. Like not like a TED talk, but like basically a tech review presentation of where this guy did it, the guy that created it. And like obviously the FBI is involved with them, CIA is involved with them, making sure there's no spies and stuff stealing the technology, but it's coming, and technology is always advancing. Technology has always been advancing.
I don't know if RAM chips, have you heard like RAM chips?
RAM is like super expensive right now.
It's like 10x what it was 18 months ago. And it's been steadily climbing because
everybody needs memory, dude.
Yeah, everybody needs memory, and that brings me to the other point, which is
SSD RAM. But
well, okay, yes, SSD RAM. But it brings me to the other point, which is everybody's on a trajectory to either find this digital god and we're all dead, or they're gonna be the most powerful in processing and computing, fastest in speed, most knowledge accumulated, best answers, right? The best language model.
I mean, that is World War III right now.
That we're saying the same thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, all these drones. So the reason we don't need, 200,000 soldiers invading Iran right now is because we have satellites, systems, and guided missile systems,
of course,
and the ability to pump these things out at a rate at which we don't really going to expire them. And we can hit any target at any time, within a square foot. So we don't need to storm buildings by person. We don't need to send tanks and trucks and bodies.
That's the whole point. You don't even need to fire.
But nobody else does either. That's the problem.
Nobody needs to fire anything. Right now, everybody's working on the best AI. And the two front runners are us,
China,
and the people with red flags. Yeah, exactly, on the other side of the water. And nobody's pumping the brakes. I heard what the rate of innovation cost, or the spend on innovation, is 2,000 times the spend on safety and guardrails and compliance for AI.
I don't know that. So that's going to be a huge problem, because you know this better than most, but like government regulation is very slow to the game.
Of course.
So if you factor in the people in government don't know what the hell is going on, they have to get experts in the field outside to advise them. But they're going to be so slow in regulation. You know why? Because can't say who, but these companies are pumping billions into the campaign funds for the people that are supposed to regulate them through Congress to help them get reelected. So there's not going to be a motivation to regulate them until, the finger's on the trigger and they have to. And then it's too late.
I mean, speaking of which, I think I told you about this. I went to Capitol Hill to speak on a panel about artificial intelligence just in 2025, last year. Last year, I
I
was.
don't think you told me the context so much, but I definitely knew you were there. Yeah.
I was there. Microsoft was there. Nationwide was there. I was on stage. I was critiquing it from the small business person standpoint,
Okay.
from the Main Street standpoint, and now and back then, I mean, I think it was the Biden. No, it was 24 then. It was mid 2024. Biden administration had laid out like an 8-point plan about how they would oversee and keep track and regulate artificial intelligence investment. And it's like, no, that didn't work.
And
You did
yeah, they
nothing. You
will
literally did
until it's
nothing.
feeding your campaign.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything's fine.
And then the room was filled with lobbyists from the Fortune 500
yeah, of
companies.
course. Our whole DC is filled with lobbyists. That's the people
exactly.
that live there.
Exactly. That's why they're there. They're there
the schmoozers
to
and the schmoozed.
persuade. Yeah, exactly. Schmoozies. And they do their transactional stuff and nothing ends up getting done except for a lot of corruption, which is, I don't know. I've seen a lot of that this past year. Do you have any thoughts about it?
About corruption?
No, just it coming out. Yet I don't know. We're in a place where nobody cares.
I am highly dissatisfied with the amount of arrests and charges being brought for a lot of things that have been discovered in our government for the last 8 months. And I think it's an embarrassment, and I think it's a disrespectful to the American people that those in political power and financial power somehow can skirt the same laws that other people get held accountable for. Well, in fact, I made a joke, and I'm going to keep going with this on-running joke. And now it's recently changed. I think there's been some arrests in Minneapolis recently, but I've been making this long-running joke that we've had -1 arrests for the last 8 months for all this corruption and Epstein stuff and all this, because the only thing that I know that's happened is just Lane Maxwell's been basically pulled out of prison.
So, -1.
I mean, it's not a laughing matter, but like it's so bad you either laugh or cry, right?
You can only laugh at it, right?
So it's like we're at -1 charges and arrests for all this stuff that's been discovered in the last 8 months.
Absolutely.
But I have a theory about it.
Clinton, you don't have to show up and testify, right?
I have a theory though, and you can punch me in the face if it's wrong, but my assumption here is that those in power are leveraging the corruption and the information as political leverage against their opponents to force them to either be stalemated or to not go against them in the future.
Because everybody's got dirt on everybody else.
Exactly.
Everybody in the game is skimming.
Yeah.
Literally everybody in the game is skimming. Obviously, what's his name? Tampon Timmy.
Tampon Tim, baby.
Right?
Waltzing his ass out of here.
Yeah, waltzing his ass out of here. Ilhan Omar is obviously skimming because first off, she's worth $60 million, and then the next day she's worth $90,000
or $50,000 or something.
Right? What's your thought process? Just going back, I'm just processing. What's your thought process on One Piece? Because I thought you were out of TCGs. You should have let me know because I had some One Piece people in town because they'd gotten into.
Well, I'm still looking for distro type deals, but my thought process was it is just something that is getting a lot of attention. You were talking about Pokemon earlier, right? Pokemon and One Piece.
It's been hot and cold these past 6 months, though, right? Pokemon.
What's up?
Pokemon's been hot and cold these past 6 months, right?
Yeah, it's cooling off now, I guess you could say, probably.
Yeah.
But oftentimes what I've been seeing is that, like, they kind of bounce back and forth with One Piece and Pokemon. So here's why am I interested in One Piece? Rotational format. So every X number of sets, it kind of rotates out. They have built-in collectability in the cards. They have something called like manga rares and other secret rares and things like that, right? They have kind of like the white shorts and all that stuff. Like they have these cards that are built in that are, if you just look at the sell-through rate of these BGS 10 cards and you look at these things, there's thousands and thousands of dollars in these cards. Like each card. There's some that are selling for over $10,000. Even the sealed boxes, a bad sealed box sells for like $180 on the secondary market that you can buy for $90 from distro, right? So, and $80 or whatever it is. So you're instantly, if you wanted to get just in that game, there's also all the stores get like they're having trouble with allocation. Now, I think eventually that will clear up and they'll keep printing more, and eventually like the allocation won't be as bad. But the reality is that there is an untapped market. There's barely any single sellers, like good single sellers on TCG Player. So you can offload singles to people. People can't really find boxes at all their LCSs, so you can sell boxes easily if you want to go that game. Like there's just so many opportunities. Or if you want to rip all of it and try to mass offload all your singles,
grade the top cards,
exactly,
sell the singles, all get some money, quick money back in between.
Nothing's a no-brainer. It takes work. It takes like understanding the market and following the market. But I mean, we doubled our investment in 4 months.
Wow.
And that's without even trying. That was our initial investment. So last year we doubled basically our investment, and just kind of keep trying to grow it up.
Nice, very nice. You don't have to mention the name, but anybody I know within
no, yeah, this is a personal friend of mine that love TCGs. He's actually the one that kind of got me into Flesh and Blood. So we both have pivoted into other things now.
So he's not in Fab anymore as well.
No, not going to events, not buying new sets, nothing like that. Not, he sold a lot of his cards. He sold out most of his cards when he went to Worlds. He took like most of his collection, just sold it all to vendors, and just got out. So.
Quick question. I know you mentioned beating a dead horse, but let's not beat the dead horse. Let's do the Schrodinger's TCG game.
All right.
Is there any way to make the dead game alive again, in your opinion? Or
yes.
You're saying the game is dying. You're saying the game is dying.
I say it's in a decline, yes.
Okay. So in your opinion, is there any hope? Because I'm an optimist. I haven't sold 99.9% of my cards. I don't want to sell them. I just don't want them to be worth 0 in these next 2 to 3
I've sold quite a bit, but I still have a binder full of valuable cards. But it's more just like, why not? I don't need the money. And
valuable?
Not like your stuff. Not like your stuff.
No, but like
I mean, $200, $300, $400, $500 a card. Nothing crazy though.
If what people have been saying is true, then I mean, even WTR boxes, which were 4,000 or 3,500 at a low when I was still paying attention. I don't know. I heard they were sub 1,000 or something like that.
Oh, that hurts. Yeah, I figured they were like 1,500, 2,000, but
oh wow,
yeah, that's way low.
I don't. So you're really out, because I'm hearing like
So all right,
secondary.
Well, your question was, is there hope? Okay, I will lay out for you the things that I think that actually are causing people to be frustrated with the game. We've already talked about the collector issue with, your policies have become toilet paper, if even that. You've disrespected the collectors.
Is that ever coming back? Are the collectors ever coming back? Is there a way to get the
but they can foster new ones, I think, if they do things right. Because people do passionately love this game. It is still a very good game. Like, mechanically, it's a good game. Do they have issues and power creep issues? Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. So I think the one thing that they've done in 2025, actually, sorry, there's many things they did in 2025. They got very pompous and arrogant, even in their interviews and stuff. They were always patting themselves on the back, talking positively about themselves, and arguing negatively with their own fan base, like on X and in the comments, stuff. Like, they were making disrespectful jokes about people, like on their, little dev chats and stuff, like, offhanded comments towards like people that were speaking out about what they were doing. Anyway. So it's just that attitude shift. The other thing is they constantly are changing everything. They're changing the art style. They're changing let's now stop focusing on Living Legend entirely, and let's create this new popper version called Sage. And then let's force everybody to have to play Sage because it's now a competitive format. Okay, another great change. Oh, CC's not balanced anymore, so let's just stop focusing on it and like stop building for it. And then they're like, let's change completely how we get entrance into tournaments. It used to be that you could get experience points and you can earn your way into tournaments through experience points. And then it became your whatever, your gym score or whatever. I can't remember the name of the
gym score, something like that. Yeah.
Like then you got your competitive scoring and ranking to get in and whatever. So then they pissed off all the people that were just playing and grinders. The people that were grinding experience to get into events, those are your people showing up 5 nights a week to play your game, to grind experience every single day, passionately playing your game. Those people, literally, I'm not kidding you. I went to like 3 LCSs back then when I was playing. Those people would just stop coming. Like, why come? it's going to hurt me. It's going to hurt my rating to come here and play, because if I win, I don't get any points positive, but if I lose like 50 points and I could get knocked out of the ranking. So once they got their high ranking, they just stopped coming because there's no other point to come.
Really?
So that killed it. Oh, so then they changed it again after that. So it's like you guys had a working formula, but then it's like they're changing everything all the time. They're constantly changing everything. It's like just stick to what's working. And then all this universes within bullshit that they've done with all the last few sets with, like, all these, pop culture references, the Lannisters from Game of Thrones in, whatever that new set was, heavy hitters, not like whatever the newest one. Like, well, you've got Taylor Swift character, you got a Guardian with an electric guitar. Like, what are they doing? Like, I know that not everything has to be serious, but like, you don't have to.
It was a classic fantasy game in the beginning, though.
Yeah, and they're
I don't even know about
become Magic the Gathering as quick as they can, I guess. And it's failed.
Well, they're trying to emulate it ever since they
brought in Brian Gottlieb, basically.
Well,
imagine this as a business, Saint. You bring in a content creator to become your freaking lead of design and development.
Yeah, your game runner. You make them your game runner, and you take.
Does that make any sense to you? Would you bring in a janitor to come in and be your CFO?
Well, if
I guess it depends on how well they're managing their money, but
I'd be expecting the company to go under in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Right. Or lose a lot of customers. Right.
Yeah. It's just there's been so many bad decisions, man. It's like crazy to me. I have a feeling that what happened is they started out as a small company with a bunch of very passionate people who were solely focused on making a great game and a great collectible game, a great competitive game, a great lore, because there's no lore anymore. There's no backstory to any of these characters. Nobody cares. You used to play a character or a hero that you like bonded with in a way, that you cared about, you were passionate about. Nobody, like, that's all dead now. Nobody even knows the story of these people. They don't care. They killed the game. Like
Gravy Bones, like,
thank you. That's another example. What the hell are we doing here? Scooby Dog, and like, come on, man. Like, and so what I think happened is they went from being very passionate, serious, hyper focused on being a great business and creating a great product. They had some success. They continued to hire people that were maybe social media influencers who had some clout that they could, that were friends with other people or had good relationships with other people. And it permeated their company culture. And then they started to think that they could do no wrong and get, again, this is all my speculation, no facts here. I don't know anybody saying this, but this is my outside looking in. And I think their culture changed to where they thought that they were the creme de la creme, the big dog, in the barnyard, I guess. And everything, the culture changed, the product changed, the gameplay changed, everything changed. And it's not the thing that people want to support anymore. I mean, look how many content creators left. Master Set Madness, Fab Unsealed, Clue. I mean, I had a list of them, but like, they're all gone. What about
Fluke? Is Flukenbach still around?
Oh, I would assume so, because his entire business was Flesh and Blood.
Oh, that's true.
I would assume that him and Himmel are still engaged in promoting the game. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at Fluke's website in a while. Maybe he started selling other products. I mean, so many people I know that just abandoned the game because the game just kept taking a dump in their lap and then telling them that they should be happy that they got the dump taken on them. Like, it's just, you can't do that.
No, yeah, be happy. Be happy with what we're giving you. Be happy with cards going down.
This is the best thing you've ever had. Love it.
20% in value. By the way, speaking of awesome cards, above your head, is that new or have you always had that?
Which one?
It looks like Lightning Bolt.
Okay, yeah. So I've got quite a bit of like artwork that I've picked up over time, all across the entire wall. But yeah. So up there, that's the Lightning Bolt print of, I guess, the original print, and signed by the artist and everything, dated and signed.
Christopher Rush, Lightning Bolts. Alpha 93. I've got that card like a few hundred times over. So that's a very iconic card. Did you get that after your exit from Flesh and Blood?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of, it's kind of like a re-engagement with. Did you have roots in Magic, or did you just like
my original trading card game I ever played was Magic the Gathering when I was a kid? Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I bought like a Sarah Angel and stuff. Like I don't know, I fire fireballs and stuff. Like I've been buying some vintage cards and stuff from Magic and stuff, and just
Oh, that's
hold
cool,
on,
man.
yeah,
So that's what you've been picking up too. So you run One Piece as a business, but now for the nostalgia, you're back into Magic,
yeah,
right?
just collecting them. Like I really like Final Fantasy, the video game as well. So the Final Fantasy set, I've been collecting all the Surge foils of all the characters from the game and from Magic Gathering. So like they've got all these
So
characters. So
that's super expensive from what I heard. Like
yeah,
I
some
think
are
Rudy
like
told
$400 or
me
$500 a piece. Yeah.
the boxes, the collector's edition
Yeah.
boxes went up to about $1,600.
They're
Right?
expensive. I mean, it's like Magic the Gathering plus the most like amazing RPG fantasy.
IP in the world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come
That's
on,
why I
man.
won. By
No,
the way,
I love fantasy. I love fantasy, medieval fantasy. Like
yeah,
that's what got me into Flesh and
that's
Blood,
what
man.
drew me into Flesh and Blood too.
You know what I don't really need? Like you don't see a lot of anime behind me. Like so their new art direction and stuff like just isn't my thing. It's fine. It's for other people. It's just not me.
I agree. I loved the Findal Spring tunic the way it was.
Yeah.
And then the extended Findal Spring tunic, the gold
Yeah.
foil tunic, that was so beautiful. And then they replaced it with some, elfy looking, anime, like, I got caught in a dungeon, animation character looked like that, right? It's like
I'm surprised they
pick
didn't
up
put it on the
girls in a
dude, to be
dungeon or
quite
something like
honest.
that. Like it was a Weiss character. It became a Weiss character.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I was like, this is not the Flesh and Blood I knew. Why is Companion of Wraith selling like hotcakes if this is the art? Maybe it's not selling like hotcakes. Maybe it's been, pre-sold to the distributors and the distributors have it. How much of it is actually being opened? How many people are actually still in the game? Because after that, the original Rainbow Foil tunic dropped under $100 for some time.
Yeah, I mean, I bought quite a few of them when they were under $100 because at the time I still really believed that the game's longevity would push it forward. But I sold all that kind of stuff, all the legendaries and stuff. I just sold them because there's no future for legendaries. If they don't get reprinted, they're gonna get power crept because if they're too powerful, they will keep reprinting them. And if the heroes are all LL, if your hero LLs and it's like a niche, lightning legs, Greaves or whatever.
Yeah.
While that character's hot and the first couple months of that set release, it's going to be a super expensive card. But because it's powerful, the hero is either going to LL or they're going to reprint it. It's as simple as that. That's their policy now. And so both ways are going to depreciate the value of that card. And like, like the Timmies and all them like want to be like, this is not a game to put in money and invest in and stuff. Like nobody likes to just blow their money and lose all their value in anything that they buy. If I buy a bottle of wine, I want it to be a good fucking tasting bottle of wine, right? Like,
yeah, you want it to stay a good bottle of wine. If I
buy a collectible card, I want it to stay collectible.
Stay collectible.
I don't want it to become fire. I literally threw tens of thousands of cards in a fire pit.
Oh, really?
Just to. I was like over the winter. I was like, whatever, just all the bulk cards, all the rares and stuff. Just like fucking burn them. I don't need them. I'm not gonna try to sell them. I'm not gonna offload them. I'm not gonna like you were talking about. Santa Claus with a bag of kilos of silver. I'd rather do that than a
bulk is even worse. Yes, bulk is even worse.
I couldn't even give this shit away, Saint. I can't even give this shit away. I would offer it to people. I'd be like, hey, I'll go to this event. I'll drive it down there. Nobody wants it. Nobody even wants it for free.
Nobody wants the cards
because
they're useless. They're useless after a while.
Yeah.
Right. And going back really quickly, I just want to verify: Living Legend as a format is completely dead.
It's
right.
I don't think it's dead, but I don't think it's I don't want to misquote. I don't think it's dead. It like still exists as a format. I don't know that they're giving it support anymore.
But
like they used to make
zero competitive support for it.
But competition, last I saw, like the last event I saw, they didn't even have limited as a format. It's like they know their product is so bad that it can't even be played in draft or freaking sealed. So yeah, they had like Sage and CC or something. So
really,
and Sage is legit popper. No Majestics, rares and under and stuff like that. So it's like, what are you doing?
But isn't Sage like Silver Age from like the beginning or from the beginning sets? Something like that. I think
it's more like Silver Age as in the future. Because it's legit. Like they're making, it's like Blitz heroes with with low rarity cards.
Oh, let's make it a communist game.
It's commoner or pauper. Yeah, I mean, like it's you said communist, but
I did. Let's just make it a communist
I
game.
got that like as I was speaking, but yeah,
let's let everybody play and play with everything.
Well, the
and
thing
see,
is, though,
see
it's
what
like
it
there are
does.
people that like really like Sage as a format. They really do.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, Classic Constructed is your game. That is your benchmark format.
Yeah.
That you should build everything else around. Everything else should be tertiary, whatever, have fun product. The fact that they can't even like focus on that is just damning to me to the game, because it's like, like they're hyping up and pushing this Sage so much. It's like Sage is legitimately underpowered 1v1 battles, right?
Yep.
You're intentionally neutering all and spaying all of the heroes, giving them weak cards. You're also saying, if you don't know anything about, like, I know you played the game a little bit, like, right, Dory and all that, but like,
yeah,
the Majestics are what gave the heroes their like identity and character in the game. So when you, because think about all the specializations and like, you know, it was the Majestics and legendaries.
Your heroes like customization, and it gave them their specialties, the specializations. Yeah, that's what made them special. That's what made them.
You take that away, what are you left with? Generic Warrior A, generic Warrior B, generic like. What the
3
fuck
pitch
are we
for
doing?
7 damage and blocking for 6 and blah blah blah, and that's it.
So yeah, the games can be competitive, but you're playing with starter decks.
Yeah,
like who wants to do that? That's like going to Magic the Gathering tournament and like
playing with
no powerful cards, guys.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to actually like win.
Like, yeah, we want you guys to play and just like throw.
I know that they have pauper tournaments and stuff. I get it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that's not the creme de la creme of your product. Your best product should be Classic Constructed. And you live and die on that.
It should be Living Legend. It should have been Living Legend. That's what they pitched it to be.
Well, so I think they screwed up with Living Legend because they allowed all heroes in Living Legend. I think that they should have always only allowed Living Legended heroes. And because they allowed every hero, once you get like a ridiculous character who's strong, like that character can be strong in Living Legend as well. But so the other thing is, remember when James White specifically said, he called out somebody. Somebody said something about like there needs to be more like bans and restrictions in Living Legend, and James White himself like responded to that, going, "The sooner you guys realize that Living Legend is the place for all the heroes to give their most biggest and baddest, most powerful moves." I paraphrase, right? You know, the more you understand. Oh, guess what they did? They go and they ban all the shit that makes the heroes powerful in Living Legend. But go right against their word again.
Starvo was overpowered, and I remember when I was active paying attention. Yeah, Starvo and Briar were restricted by, I think, the Thorn for a little bit, or Ball Lightning. A couple of cards.
Starvo, like 80% of his deck was banned and restricted for a while there.
Limited to 1 for a while. So why did they just take it all out? They just scrapped it completely. It was unsustainable, I guess.
They just
I don't know. Neither of us are
decision making,
players.
Saint.
Yeah,
bad decision making will ruin a business. Like, it's just as simple as that. Like,
well, I agree with that. That's fundamental. But I asked you the question. I'll ask you again in hindsight, because you talked about the bad decisions and things that you were unhappy with. Do we have to rewind you and like say undo all those things, or do you have any positive suggestions for the game moving forward?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, it is all the inverse.
You feel for it.
Okay, number one, pick a fucking art style. Okay.
Okay.
Number 2, re-inject storytelling and lore and connection with the heroes you're introducing, and make them have a purpose in the world of Wraith.
Okay.
Because you're trying to build a game, but you're also trying to build like, you know, like an environment or like a place for people to escape to, right? Like the whole point of playing games. Stop changing so much. Like, I'm not talking about ban and restriction lists. You got to keep the game balanced, but like stop changing the formats. People are buying cards and building decks to play formats, and if you keep blowing up formats, they don't know what to buy. They don't trust the system.
Exactly what they did with the collectors, the players too,
they're screwing both sides at the same time.
Oh my god! Well,
so I'm just talking about
stores too, supposedly, from what I heard from the stores.
Yeah, stores are getting screwed too. That's another thing. You know, great point. James White sends out this article about how Flesh and Blood is a game for Flesh and Blood and playing in the Flesh and Blood and supporting the local coins, local card shops and all this stuff. And it was a really well thought out letter, but it's all bullshit. They send all the best promos to Channel Fireball and Star City Games and MinMax Games and Rudy. No offense to Rudy, good guy, but they get all the amazing, wonderful promos. Well, guess what? That means that everybody wants to spend their money for their cases and boxes at those places, which are not their local coin shops or local card shops.
But I heard they changed that too.
Maybe they did,
and
but
they pissed off all of the
large shops.
Vendors.
Here's a thought, Saint. Here's an idea. Give them all the same promo. Is that crazy or what?
They decided to give nobody promos from what I heard.
Give them all the same promo so that everybody can pick and choose where they want to purchase from. Like, you don't incentivize people to not buy at their local card shop. Like, doesn't make sense. Like, but then they're gonna say a letter that like is complete gaslighting. Oh, we support the local stores. No, you don't, because also you don't even support them because if they have any issues, they stop getting support for their tournament structure. Like they'll go down to like 8 kits for their sealed play on a pre-release when they need 32 kits, but you limit them. Why limit them? Just get people the product so they can promote your game. And then that creates bad faith and a lack of goodwill with the businesses who tried to buy your product from distributors. So guess what happens? When the card shops stop buying the boxes from the distributors, eventually the distributors are going to stop buying the boxes from LSS.
Well, speaking of the starter kits, I just heard a nasty rumor that on eBay there was a recent leak of a bunch of the young IRA cold foil OG starter kits. And they're just selling by the dozens on eBay for whatever, $100, $200, something like that.
It's probably somebody that works there is just trying to make a buck.
Well, maybe from the distributors and maybe from the LGSs that held back some inventory. But at the same time, being told that this was so short in inventory and this was so scarce and there might only be 50 copies and then, just dozens of these copies just floating.
The saddest part, Saint, is there's so many stories like that where something that was said was complete BS. And over time, the people that are attuned to it and paying attention to it, like, it's fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Like, we're at fool you 15 times. And there are some people, I think, that, like, they don't want to pay attention to reality. Maybe they've got a business that's doing well, cycling product, and they don't want to offend their players or, they don't want to, like, choke the golden goose, but I think that anybody who isn't as directly tied into it, I think they see the writing on the wall. Like, I think they might be playing the game because they still enjoy it or they have fun playing it with their family or friends. It's still a pastime, it's still a hobby. But I think, the direction has changed, and anybody who doesn't see it, is blind or not wanting to see it.
Well, I always take things from a corporate perspective. I know you didn't ask me. You went.
I apologize, sir.
No, I wanted to give you two opportunities. No, I wanted to give you two opportunities to actually answer the question, which you did the second time, which I appreciate. So stop changing so much. Follow your word. Scrap some things and stop screwing over everybody on every single side.
Honor the policies that we followed for the first 4 years.
Yeah. Because I would say, first 4 to 5 years were pretty solid for Flesh and Blood.
Great.
And this next half, like, if this is a 20-chapter book, it feels like we're in, like, chapter 14 right now, and we're losing gas. I suggested it at dinner when I was in Queenstown in front of James. I'll suggest it again. This guy needs to scrap his whole management within the company. And remember who actually brought the game up and who actually, made the game great in the first 5 years, and stop trying to use this Hasbro Wizards formula. Because guess what? There's already a company with a multi-billion-dollar market cap doing that. And it's called Hasbro Wizards. And they've got this game called Magic the Gathering that they've been, doing this for 35 years. And most importantly, in the most recent 5 years. Flesh and Blood doesn't have that runway. They don't have a 30 to 35 year history, and they don't have 40 million players. I'd be surprised if they have 1/100th of that. As of right now, I'd be surprised if they have one.
I will tell you,
1,000
I
of
will
that.
tell you, within the last 3 months, somebody new to my Discord mentioned that they only had like 20 or 30 gem points, and they were still like top 12,000 in the nation of USA.
Yeah,
Like that's like 1 or 2 events.
I'm
Just
pretty
in
sure.
perspective.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we went from hundreds of thousands of players worldwide when you and I. No, I'm saying when you and I were active and going together
Yeah.
with shows, when Dan and Rudy were showing up, right? And when this featured all over, and we're all still content creators for the game. And right now, what you're telling me is maybe worse than what I was thinking. I'm
I'm thinking
thinking,
like 50K.
well, the 30, 40,000. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I mean,
I'm saying it's literally dropped by 10x the actual active player base. And what I heard from, certain people with large positions in this ecosystem, there's still so much product just being hoarded in the distributors' warehouses
oh
of
wow.
these recent sets. So that, yeah,
What are
they're
they doing? Are
they're
they just hoping that the box price, or they don't want to offload it because then it'll tank the box prices, or what?
something like that. I think they like LSS release in waves. They tried that for a little bit,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
certain waves just they took certain waves. They agreed to take a certain amount of
Mm.
inventory, and that's just what it is. So
I tracked product very closely for years and years with Flesh and
yeah,
Blood. It's a very simple formula. And again, it also goes to back to my point that they don't support the local game store because they allow these online sellers, MinMax and Hemel and Fluke, to get all this product early, the
yep.
ability to open it all and list all their cards and sell to all these players directly early, so that like if you have a regular business trying to do this and you're not one of the top 8 accounts, you're screwed because Flesh and Blood's product is only good for about 3 weeks.
Mm.
After that, everybody has all the cards that they need. They have everything that they need. They will stop buying all sealed. They also have at that point they're tired of limited play. So like the stores aren't even cracking and supplying singles anymore. Like, and if you just look at the sell-through rate after the 3rd week going into the 4th week, it's like barely any sales online for sealed product. Barely any. So you have basically 4 weeks max to rip everything, sell as much shit as you can, as fast as you can, driving the price down, and then it hit bottoms and it's done. And there's always, there's like 1 or 2 cards that like are the powerful deck that might stay up there for a couple more months,
Hmm.
but then it all tanks. So I can believe you when you say distro's stuck with all this product because nobody's gonna buy this crap on wave 2 3 months later or 2 months later. Like they're done with it.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah,
And I've
it does.
tracked this for like 10 sets in a row. Like you can see the data out there if you just track it yourself. Like it's the same graph every single month of every single product. Just
Well,
tanked.
this is this a recent development? Because I assume this happened and became even more pronounced after
Probably
they
since
did away with Living Legend.
Outsiders or something. Like it's been like this. Like
Well, see, that's the thing. Just having an eternal format like Living Legend and supporting it properly or regulating it a little better could have stopped this problem from happening.
yeah, I mean, in theory, if they kept it as like a serious format that people could build decks for and stuff, like it would make people want to go back and get like Monarch boxes per se, right? There's zero reason to ever buy a Monarch box. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot because of how much inventory I
yeah,
still hold.
sorry,
But like,
but
no,
yeah,
no, no, no. I'll say it proactively. But this is what you're saying. If it continues down this course, then there's never going to be a reason to hold Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, or Crucible of War First Edition anymore,
not
right?
if there's never going to be anybody who wants to go back and pick up the vintage cards. And the way that their current direction is going is they're not pushing collectability. So
Yeah,
who is going to be converted into a collector?
nobody.
Nobody. So
Just want to go with the Game Piece army of cheap cards, and everybody should have, 5 Hearts of Findal and 20 Tunics for each deck,
yeah,
right?
you can
Let's
make
not make
millions of
it.
dollars a year by making living card games.
Some people do.
They should just
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, yeah. Give you the whole set, right?
Yeah,
Pay
just
49.99. Just Play the whole set.
I
Let's
made a
make it
joke that if
Monopoly.
they wanted to reprint, E-Strike and Command and Conquer and Tunic so much, why don't they just make it a fucking box topper? And like, let's just skip the bullshit. Just
Yeah.
make it a box topper, give everybody one, and then you don't have to reprint it anymore after that. Like, here you go.
Well, who knows? In a couple of sets, if your friend Brian has his way, then maybe it'll just come in like a 5-pack,
What
right?
a prick. Sorry. I had to throw that out there. I think guy's just such a douche.
I think the original sin, if I look back at it, the one thing that I wouldn't forgive was that they just hired a lot of trans content or multiple trans content creators and trans players to be on their global display. And it's like, first off, this appeals to maybe 0.5% of only the United States. The other 7.5 or 7.7 billion human beings on the planet don't believe in this bullshit fake religion, fake ideology that is now officially outlawed by this current administration. Thank God. I hope we can have 4 years of healing before any further bullshit, right? But even further than that, the fact that they doubled down and they released videos of Ellie Bird after she basically encouraged violence on you.
No,
And you,
she
like,
made a direct threat. Yeah.
encourage violence. Look at how many trans and ultra left people have caused problems ever since then.
I'm trying not to push that,
But for
I don't
me,
care how anybody lives their life. I just don't want it
for
pushed
me,
on
that was
other
the
people.
original sin. Okay, this is a human being, right? It's a person. I don't care how they identify, but
Yeah.
a human being threatened your life,
Yeah.
your life and your safety, and encouraged it to multiple people
Oh
online.
yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
that human
Thousands of
being is
people.
put front and center to represent and be an ambassador of the
Write
game.
articles,
Yes.
be a spokesperson,
Be a
have videos.
spokesperson, go up and have deals.
And just to be clear,
on YouTube. Yep.
James White knew very directly what happened in this situation with the screenshots and messages and everything.
No, they knew. You sent it to them.
Yeah.
And
it was communicated to them very directly. Yeah.
Nothing. They did
with
nothing.
response. Yeah. So they received the message. Yeah.
How did they respond, by the way? Remind me. I don't remember how that.
Let's summarize it as this, because I don't want to say too much. But basically, hope everybody learns from this. Have a great 2025.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was you paraphrasing?
Yeah.
So
I hope both sides learn from this or something like that.
Oh, really?
That was after I told him I wasn't going to criminally prosecute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Well, I mean, they picked.
Here we are.
They picked their horse, right? And they rode with it.
Yeah, that's literally what I said. Like I said, it is what it is. I'm done. And just moved on.
And others were done.
I went to Worlds, by the way, and I was there next to everybody and standing next to them, and nobody said or did anything, but it's the world we live in, man.
Why did you still go to Worlds of all things? Why did you still go to Worlds afterwards? Just to see if there was anything left?
Do a last hurrah. I mean, I invited friends. We got an Airbnb. We had an amazing time. I got to see people from all over the world that I haven't met before. I had a fantastic time. But it wasn't at the event. We had a fantastic time going to dinners and going to bars and just walking the city and going. I went to like the US Mint, and man, we had like a legitimately, like, it was an amazing time, but the event sucked.
Okay. I hear you. And in hindsight, that's one thing I can take away, because, Riddle, I don't know that we're going to like have many more discussions, or if any discussions, about Flesh and Blood.
Probably not about the game, yeah.
But like, I met you, right?
Yep.
And through the game, although I knew Badger from the Magic the Gathering days, we solidified our relationship through transacting a lot and collecting a lot of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
The card games, the cards themselves don't matter nearly as much. I don't want it to be cheesy about friends you made along the way, but there truly were so many solid people that I'd met. I've now have, so many connections within TCGs.
Yeah.
Although nearly all of my connections do not care for and do not proactively push Flesh and Blood anymore.
Wow.
It's just great to know that if I need Pokemon for my daughter, at least, 50 vendors worldwide plus have my back, right? Literally, shout out to Tin King. He
Oh yeah,
literally came
that's my
to,
boy, man.
yeah, Jamie literally came to New York, and he's like, "Hey man, I remember your girl really loves Mew," and I'm like, "You remember that?" He's like, "Yo, I watched all your videos," and he just gave me like a stack of the
Wow.
Pokemon Mew cards, my daughter's favorite Pokemon, and he's like, "Oh, this one's actually decently valuable. This one's a super foil rare thing," and I'm just like, I don't know what it all is. I didn't even look it up. I just was so
Yeah,
thankful. I gave it to my little girl, and she will forever remember that because she's like, "Oh, random guy from Europe, had dinner with my dad and just gave me
yeah.
some really cool Mew cards." And she still mentions it. She was like, "Oh, that's great." It's like you gave me a couple Mew cards, and that guy, Jamie, I've never met him, but Jamie, he gave me some cards. That's
Yeah,
so
Jamie's a good
special.
guy.
Yeah, he is. He is. And then Rudy and Open Boosters, like I got to know them and made
Yeah,
content that will be there forever, like our little 70 show videos and all
yeah, that's
that.
good stuff.
So, we made a lot of connections, and we had a bunch of amazing times. I just have to say, you just got to not be as much of a stranger because we're on the same time zone, we're on the same coast, and you literally passed by my home. You must either train by Grand Central
I
Station
take
or
the
drive
train.
by
Yeah,
Times Square, right?
I take the train. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could literally just like stop and be like, "Hey, let me go grab a slice of pizza," or let me go get a pastrami sandwich with
Mm,
my boy.
let's do it.
Or we could even go upscale. I don't need to boast on social media. We can go upscale as well. You got
Yeah,
options. You got a buddy right here in Midtown Manhattan, and it's already been like a year and a half. So,
it's
oh
been too long.
yeah, and another thing is that, well, we haven't met up in more than a year and a half because we made our video and we met up before we made our video. Remember
Yeah, I don't know
our
the
second
timing on
video?
it, but yeah, I mean, I
Because
was down
we
there
met up.
with
Yeah, we met up
Transient,
after the
and we
first
all went
video,
together. Yeah,
and that was between the first and second video.
yeah. I
Remember?
think that was the last time was with Transient in New York, right?
Yeah, in
The
Manhattan.
Japanese dinner.
We
Yeah,
had the crazy Japanese
yeah,
Wagyu and whatnot, right?
yeah.
And then it was, yeah, it's been nothing since. So
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
man,
you're a busy guy, you know.
hey, you just
I'm
have to
throwing it
reach
back on.
out.
I'm throwing it back on you, man. No.
No, you just have to reach out. Honestly, the one thing is, in hindsight, you got to make time for people that you find important.
Yeah.
Like today, I literally had a call with Houston. I've got my development office in Taiwan that I always call almost every night. I've got 25 developers doing AI as
Okay.
well as CRM, as well as cloud-based point of sale infrastructure right in Taipei, Taiwan. I'm literally poaching people from NVIDIA, from Google, from where's the other one? Micron,
Nice.
and from Netflix as well. Just all the tech companies from Taiwan. They're and a Taiwan Semiconductor. That was the big one
Yeah.
from
Well,
TSMC. Yeah. No,
that's
no, but we're outpaying them. We're using like US dollars to
yeah.
change for local currency, and we're actually giving even TSMC a run for their money. Like
Okay.
and we're creating some really awesome software. Anyways, I had a talk with them, and I pushed it back, and you like, look, you literally, and it means a lot to me. I was like, you didn't have to leave your lacrosse game, man. I felt guilty to start early, but
Well,
I,
I also made a commitment to do this at 9. I was like, stuff happens, and I was like, but I said I was gonna do something, and then when I put something on the schedule, I like I have to do it. So
yeah, and that's so rare in this day and age. Forget about the average player or average customer of flesh and blood today. Just expand that out. And I know this is being generalized to death, but the values of this new generation of the 18 to 29-year-old, I would say, they say Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm saying it's societal. It's due to their experiences. There are huge trust issues. There are commitment issues. There are work issues. There are global perspective issues because they just went through a great recession. They just went through a pandemic, right? And ever since that shift, there's literally a group of maybe 50 million Americans that don't believe in anything. And I mean, social media is a huge, filter on them as well. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about my current review, my current experience looking through my human resources numbers domestically, and just my interactions with employees and hires across nearly every single company that I interact with right now. It is crazy. We have a generation of transactional, trustless individuals who are only about what's in it for them. And there is not really much accountability, meaning that you've got a generation of individuals that are programmed, by social media and by YouTube to say just the perfect thing and to show up for their, on-camera interview the first time. And, like their camera picture perfect interview for the first time, maybe show up to work 1 to 3 days, if at all. And then shady stuff starts happening and the cracks show up.
Wow.
And this is 90+% of interactions. It's not a me company thing. This is anybody that I talk to as an executive, 35 years or older right now, is interacting with this
Mm-hmm.
on repeat. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd assume you've got some. Do you have any young hire problems that you're seeing yourself?
We
29, sub 29.
recently laid off a pretty significant amount of our company.
Okay.
And I can say this, we haven't really lost a step either. Because
Yeah.
because it's the same, like the people that are already productive and hardworking are already carrying, the water, so to speak.
80
So
20, 80 20, the
yeah,
80 20
yeah,
rule, right?
that's such a legitimate rule, right? And so I've always, like, my management and leadership style is like, I always know kind of like as much as I can about everybody and what they're doing, and like I track
Yeah.
things, and I have constant conversations to understand where people are at, and I can also read through the lines really well and like analyze people's behavior really well. It's
Mhm.
probably my biggest strength, is just to be able to you know understand people's true intentions.
Yeah.
And I always have a list, and so when it's comes to time for that, it's like, okay, we can I know at all times, like, I need this person, this person, this person, this person. Everybody else it is what it is. Keep them
Okay.
on humanitarian effort or whatever, but keep the numbers there while we've got it. But we always know, and it's the same thing. I will say that I have seen, as much as you're saying, it's like 90% of interactions. I will say, when I just got back from coaching high school, right? Like,
Yep.
literally hours
Yep.
ago.
Yep. Yep.
I do see also reassurances that some of the beliefs that it sounds like you and I probably grew up with,
Are coming
there
back.
are still people, young adults, that still believe in those things,
Mhm.
even though their medium of learning about them is different. Like, I still see leadership. I still see people showing up to practice early, warming up, encouraging other people to work hard. What I mean? Like, I still see those sparks out there. So I don't think it's
Okay.
all doom and gloom, but I think there will be a dramatic difference between the haves and the have-nots, and the doers and the don'ts. And
Well, it's dramatic. There will be. There already is
yeah, I
now.
mean, the
Like right
the
now,
middle
you've got
class is going to be divided
the
into
K-shaped
the one
economy.
percent and the 90% that are poor pretty soon
Yeah,
here, if we
are
keep up like this.
10 and 90. I think right now it's already 10 and
Yeah,
90,
it,
and
it's just
there's
going to
no
get
in
worse,
between.
because you have to have drive and ambition and care, and you have to believe in something bigger than just the day to day getting high and zoning out and avoiding
And
life and
complaining and being
procrastinating.
angry.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
like,
social media is perpetuating it. You've got infinity channels. You've got infinity sources of content that are spewing out, making you feel whatever way you feel like feeling.
yep. And
Like
it
people
notices
click the
what
next
you're
one, the
in, it
next one.
notices what you're engaging with, and it feeds you more of it and
Yeah,
keeps you in that loop. Yeah.
it's being literally powered by AI. And then when you interact with
To
AI,
sell you products.
yes, it will sell you products and keep you on that loop to make you the product to continue consuming it, to sell you more commercials,
Yep.
to make you consume the commercials, to sell you other content
And
that
it's
you're
all getting
thinking.
smarter and smarter and more directed towards your
Yeah,
data of you as a person.
it is. It is. But that's people, and it's making the majority of people dumber and dumber because that's what they're focusing on. They're not taking up a sport. They're not learning how to be better. Like, by the way, I didn't even get to talk about, I didn't even bring up my health, but you mentioned your health has gotten better. My health tanked for a little bit
Hmm.
because of, the what is it? The marital separation matter, right? That we don't really talk about too
Yeah.
much on camera. But, because of the stress and the mental stress from all that, I had some issues. But what did I do? I didn't feel sorry for myself. I didn't complain on the internet. I didn't, rant and rave about it on Reddit. I doubled down on my personal training efforts. I, engaged one of the best cardiologists in the country. I, I go to physical therapy twice a week.
Yeah.
I do, two a days in terms of working out and doing cardio and lifting. And I'm just leaning in and committing more time and energy doing healthy things to make myself, in theory, I'm healthier now outside of, the recent scare. I'm healthier now than I've been probably in the past 20
Yeah.
years. But it's because I'm so intentional about it. And I mean, I'm not watching like workout videos. I'm literally,
Sam Sulek, maybe. I don't know. He's a bodybuilder.
yeah. I'm literally, I literally hired a bodybuilder to be
Oh
like,
yeah.
how do I bulk up? How do I, what do I eat better? What workouts do I do? I can bench, nothing compared to you, but I can still bench. Like literally, I'm within 5% of my body weight, which is
Okay.
pretty, pretty solid for somebody that had a stroke like 3 years
Yeah.
ago. Right. And I will continue learning. I'm learning so much more about AI. Whereas 2 years ago, I was a naysayer. I was the peasant in the political town hall, right, talking against the lobbyists in DC. I literally, that was my role. That was why I was invited to give my perspective. And now I literally own a software company that's
Yeah.
doing AI. That so it's so crazy how the world is changing. And fortunately, it sounds like you are adapting. I'm adapting as well. I'm hiring the right people to adapt.
Hmm.
But again, um, we're in an environment where, a post AI world where it's starting to look like 90% plus of young people that I'm interacting with do not have the actual skills to follow through on what they think, you know, or what they interview with AI, or they ask AI, how do I show up to
Oh
a job?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
like, I'll say this, I'll say I'm a team
I didn't
player,
even.
I'll say I'm self-driven and this and this and this. It's like, if you're self-driven, how come on your first day you showed up at 11:05, on your second day you showed up at 11:45? Um, I don't know if there's going to be a third day at work for you, Sonny, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm obviously not having that conversation, but senior people in my company who are hiring these people, it's like, this is what I'm being told. And I'm just like, wow, I literally have people who've accepted offer letters signed and not shown up for their first day of training, thinking that they
Crazy.
can get away somehow. So it's pretty insane, man. It's pretty insane. We should keep in touch. We should do something similar to this, or if you have some sort of precious metals play that we can talk about next time,
Yeah.
or something not financial advice for the market or for alternatives, we
Yeah.
could chat about that. Or if you collect anything sexy like that lightning bolt above your head, anything of that sort,
Yeah.
we should get into it in the future, man.
Yeah. I mean, I will close on that part. That topic is just that maybe next time we can talk about the broader economy and the debt ratio and GDP and inflation and recessions, and we can talk about that kind of stuff and be more broad based with the economic stuff, because I'm a firm believer right now that
We are in a recession.
I have to buy assets. I don't care
Okay.
what they are.
Yep.
I have to get my money into assets. And so part of the reason why I'm buying gold and silver and still buying some collectibles is because I'm always buying stocks, always.
Okay.
Like that's a
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. I've also got a position saved up where I'm always shopping for land and real estate. But right now I'm looking in South Carolina and Tennessee. I see opportunities there to get more real estate. I
Did your albatross in Jacksonville? Is
I
that?
sold that. Yeah, we
Oh,
sold that property.
congratulations!
Yeah,
You
yeah.
should have let me know, man. You should
Yeah.
have.
I sold it last year. I sold it last year, and we just got I hired a very great accountant and took good care of me. Let's just say that. Make sure
Okay.
I got all the tax benefits and breaks that I could.
Okay.
So that went really well. And yeah, it's the same thing as you. Like it's like just generating revenue and income streams, and then converting that into assets, hard assets that can rise with this very rapid inflation that we're going to continue to experience over the next, I think, decade plus.
Okay.
Um,
You believe so you don't see any of the recessionary signs. Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
we've been in a recession for a while.
Okay,
Um,
okay. So and but due to the K and due to manipulation and inflation,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
just
So I don't look at the stock market as an indicator of the economy anymore.
Mhm.
I think it's completely decoupled. I think it's just a speculative market where people can throw trillions of dollars up and down and they don't care.
Yeah.
Um, the economy, though, I think people have been hurting for a while. I mean, like, all of it. Foreclosures are up, repossessions are up, credit card defaults are up.
Yeah,
We have
credit
the
card
highest
default,
amount of consumer credit card debt that we've
credit
ever
card
had in our
debts
history.
in
Like,
history.
there's
Yep.
so many layoffs are so like after 6 months of being unemployed, they remove you from the unemployment data. So
Yeah.
it's like unemployment isn't balanced. Unemployment is out of this world,
Yeah.
right? Like but people have
It's
just
because
given
people
up.
stop trying.
Yeah, they've
Absolutely.
just given
Yep.
up. And then you couple that with all this fraud that we've uncovered since Doge and Minneapolis and all this stuff in
Yep.
California, and like that our money is being sieved out of our taxes, which means that also our GDP is pretty heavily made up of government overspending with the debt that they're borrowing.
Yep.
So it's all pointing to me as like honestly a catastrophe.
It's all house of cards. Yeah, we're
Um,
on the same page, man.
and I don't care, as Pam Bondi would say, the Dow Jones is $50,000. like I
50,000
don't
points. Yeah,
care. That's not an indicator to me anymore.
I
So
agree.
anyway, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, you look at the logistical trucking companies going out of business and bankruptcy. Look at
Mhm.
banks failing and closing because they they can't service their debts anymore. Like it's bad, man. It's bad.
Yeah. I've got a pretty
And-
good snapshot of same store sales across the country,
okay.
and the direction is not up. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
It is not looking good. Quarter over quarter over quarter over quarter for about 4 or 5 quarters. And some may say, "Oh, see, I told you so. It's that damn orange guy." And I'm like, I don't these days I don't get so involved in that discussion because I've said in prior videos, I'm not really partisan. I'm just anti-fraud and anti-lying and anti-delusion. It just happens that the prior administration was all of those things. I think we're currently getting a reset back to reality,
I
and
hope so.
this is the result of it everything, falling into place because of all that fraud and the
Do you
trillions of
see
dollars of
like the next
overspending.
5 years as being an economic recovery?
I don't I don't see in 5 years, man. Going back to what I said about AI, 2 years ago, I was talking smack about AI, and last February, I rented an office internationally and I became an international software company selling AI. So,
You should have called
like,
me up, man. I could have done interviews and stuff for you.
you should have
Make sure you
called
had the
me
right
up,
people.
man. Just
Yeah, you got it's right here.
didn't I give you
No,
an invite to the thing?
I don't think so.
I didn't give really?
No, I don't believe so.
My grand opening? Okay. Well, maybe you were busy. Maybe I was in the mix of everything, but you should come by. You should see the new spot
Yeah,
whenever you have a
I do.
chance.
I will. Next time I'm up there for my work,
Ever since
I'll
July.
definitely make sure I swing by.
Yeah, for sure. It's an open invite. The city just know, like other people have not hesitated, and that's another thing. Ever since the first video and the second video, it was great just to hear from like the 30 or 40 people that were definitely like, "Hey, I'm with you. I'm not delusional. I'm not a fucking retard. I have common sense and you're spewing plenty of it. Watch out for those truth bombs,
Yeah.
right?" And I hope that some people come out of the woodwork because I usually make my rounds. Whether I'm in the Midwest, whether I'm out west, or up the Eastern Seaboard, I just try to make time for people. I like PTK, the
Yeah.
folks from Singapore, Austria. If anybody's ever in my city and we're familiar, who knows? If you're important and if you made an impression, the worst thing somebody could say is no,
Yep.
right? If you value the company, if you value the time, just be proactive, Riddler.
Keep coming back on me. You know? No, I
But
agree. I
yeah,
agree. The one great thing about getting so deep into the collectibles and the content space and the social space of the game was I actually was able to meet a ton of legitimate good people that,
yeah,
like, as of today, I have businesses with.
yeah,
My just did my Schedule K not that long ago, right? Like, so the relationships are way more important than the cards. Just like in the gold and silver space, right? Like, the relationships you're building with the people and the other stackers and stuff is more important than the
the
what you're
asset,
collecting.
yeah,
Do you have
underlying
silver? Do
asset.
you have gold? Do you have whatever? Do you have American Silver Eagles? It doesn't matter. Like, it's you're meeting like-minded people who share the same values as you, who probably want to grow their wealth and prosperity and take care of their families and and help other people, and that's more important. So
You're absolutely right. I've got a good dozen or so people who proactively said, "Hey, we want to sign up. Whenever this marital, how do I call it? Fuck it. Whenever the divorce party is, we are down and we're going in. We're going balls deep, baby, balls deep.
oh
And
no.
we're all flying somewhere out west. You can guess it's a city of lights. There
Yeah.
might or might not be gaming and other fraternization and other debauchery, but you know, it's like I've been fortunate enough to say, look, there's two dozen or so people that I wouldn't have met
Yeah.
otherwise, that I would literally drop anything I were doing that's generating cash or that's a business responsibility. I'd stop what I was doing. I'd be like, oh, sure, I'm down to hang out. Where are you at? And it
Yeah.
would be a direct flight. I literally did that. A wealth manager who's usually in Michigan, he was like, oh, I'm down in some part of Florida, Saratoga Springs. Does that sound?
Okay.
That is Florida, right? Like the
Yeah.
southwest
Saratoga.
tip of Florida. Yeah, I just stopped what I was doing and I was like, oh, let's go down there for 10 days. Because
Oh
you said so.
jeez. 10
And I was
days.
like, why not? Yeah, because I still
Nice.
got my email done. I still got on Zoom calls during the day, but at night we were hanging out in the mornings. Did just chill on the beach, had a beer or two here and there, and just hot tub maybe. So it's great, and
Yeah.
it's great to be able to do those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. That said, I don't know. I think we could use 13 if you want to hit Vegas in the next quarter or two. If some good stuff happens, I just need to not crap out, and I need to have the legal system do what it needs to
All right.
do, and then there will be a big ass smile on my face.
Send me the message. I'll find time because I have a buddy that lives in Vegas as well. I need to go see him as well. So
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, man. Well, I'm glad to have. I think it was a civilized experience. It was not as right. It was civilized,
it
just
was
wrapping
tempered. It
up.
was tempered compared to our other ones for
Yeah,
sure.
but we're now in different places a year or
Yeah.
two later, right?
Wouldn't change anything yet.
Yeah, you and me both.
Okay.
Thanks for the time, man.
Appreciate you. I'll catch you next time.
Oh,
Peace.
next time.